guys, Ross out here in Singapore, and I just wanted to come back on here because I had this memory that popped up in Facebook, and I just want to talk about it because I think it was a really great quote. Now, I completely forgot that I even posted this. I was a big fan of uh, Rich 20 something, who is now Daniel Colossus de Piazza, and he is revamped his business a couple of times, but I'm actually really excited to learn from him because he has such a different aspect, a different perspective on social media marketing and the kind of business he's been building at the moment. So he has changed. Like, he went from Rich 20 something to his own personal name, Daniel Di Piazza. We've seen him get married. We've seen him, change his business, grow his business, revamp his business, start from scratch all over again. And I think it's been just a miraculous journey in and of itself. So when this particular quote popped up in my memories, I just knew I had to pick it apart. So here we go. Ready? Confidence in yourself is one part belief and one part action. Sometimes the action creates the belief, and sometimes the belief creates the action. Now, I love that mostly because I know for a fact that sometimes I believe in myself so much that I'm like, yeah, no worries. I'm just going to plow ahead and I'm just going to do what I need to do. I'm going to get it done. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I have what it takes still. I don't know if I've got what it would take to actually try something for the first time. I'm too scared. I don't know if I could actually, succeed at doing this. And a lot of times I just got to go through the motions, fake it till I make it basically. And eventually it kind of catches fire and I'm okay. I'm good. I'm golden, right? But for the most part, I can't predict whether it's the action that creates the belief or if it's the belief that creates the action. Sometimes it's like, you know what? I'm just going to believe in myself for a second and 20 seconds of insane courage and I'm going to just get it done. And sometimes it's like, okay, where's the YouTube tutorial? Let me pause it 27,000 times as I go bit by bit through this process and get it sorted out. Honestly speaking, I can never tell. But I do believe it is a vice versa kind of situation. It's a flip-flop situation where you can't really tell, and both situations work. I know for a fact that I wasn't sure if I could actually go back and sing. I took Sangeetam classes maybe 30 years ago when I was very young, and I didn't have a chance to go all the way down to completion where I actually get on stage and do an out-engagement performance, right? So I just kind of stopped. Now I've been picking it up on and off with my great aunt, and I've been so grateful. She's been so patient with me. And as much as I think that I can't reach the notes that I need to be reaching, I won't know until I try. And it's just a matter of just start up and see where it goes. And if you screw up, you screw up, just start anyway. But a lot of times, the act of actually trying gives me a little bit of confidence. Usually I shoot past the mark that I thought I could hit anyway. And because I usually I usually lowball myself, y'all. I'm not gonna lie, right? I'm gonna put it out there. I tend to set my goals kind of low because then if I really fail, it doesn't feel quite as bad. I feel like I didn't risk too much, but that's also self-defeating, right? But usually when I lowball and I pass my mark, I supersede my mark, I feel pretty good about myself, and then I'm a little more confident to try the next one. TikTok was like that for a little while. I wasn't sure if I could actually lip sync or mime any of these things, but I also know that I have a really great ear for rhythm. So if I just practice it a couple times, I know I'll get it right. Same thing with auditions. I wasn't sure if I could actually memorize a script enough to be able to deliver it because I feel stupid just talking to the camera by myself. Not that I haven't done it a couple thousand times on Instagram and on Facebook, but even then, I kind of felt out of place. I kind of felt really dumb. Same thing with the podcast. I wasn't sure. I knew that I wanted to try, and I know it was like a low risk thing because you can't see my face. And honestly, if no one really responded, it's probably even better. But I also knew that if it didn't start somewhere, I wasn't going to create the kind of momentum I knew I needed to create in order to get the kind of business that I wanted to build. Now, the momentum may have started with that first step, which I'm going to tell you right now, I hate that first step. I tend to skip the first step and then the second step never happens, but I know I need it and I know when I need to push myself. A lot of times it's just a matter of sit in front of the computer and friggin' turn it on. And I get frustrated because, sometimes it takes a long time to boot up and sometimes it doesn't. And when it takes a long time to boot up, I will move. I will go somewhere else in the house and pick up something else to do, and I will procrastinate to come back to the computer. Anyway, sometimes it's a matter of I just sit on my bed, have the phone on the charger, phone up to my face so I can record the podcast episode. And I don't know, sometimes it comes out great and sometimes it doesn't. For me, I think my favorite way of doing things is to start the action in the first place. Sometimes I believe I can do it, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I know, like after 800 plus episodes, I know I can freaking create a podcast episode, and sometimes my heart just isn't in it. So no matter what I do and how I start, if I have to redo it like 3, 4 times, I'm just going to can the whole thing and do something else instead. I know I need to switch my momentum, I need to switch my energy for a little bit, and then maybe come back to it later. But sometimes, just sometimes, I procrastinate, and I look at myself, oh my God, I could have done like 5 already and I didn't. I've been mucking around the whole house, doing things I just not necessarily had no business doing, but weren't really important in the moment. I could have used my time more effectively. And so when it comes down to it, I'm like, damn, kicking myself. And eventually I'm like, nope, let me just sit on the bed. Let me just get the phone out. Let me go through all of the stories that I've been posting lately and see if there's a quote that I could really expound on a little bit and see how that goes. And then the act of sitting down, you know what? Put that action into play and it kind of takes off from there. So I feel pretty good about that. But I love the fact that you can see sometimes how the belief kind of leads the action and sometimes the action kind of leads the belief. It really depends on your mood. For me, as a Pisces, it really does depend on my mood. Sometimes I know I can do it. I feel so great and I'm in this great mood. And then I'm like, oh my God, let's pull out the TikTok. Let's go ahead and try this because it's going to be so much fun. Sometimes it's a matter of just scrolling through my feed and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a great quote. I need to go watch this. I need to go read this off now so I can explain the idea that I had that came to me when I read the quote in the first place. Sometimes it's a matter of I needed a pick me up and I needed an activity that would give me, a moment's reprieve from the calls and the text messages and all of the advice that people keep seeking from me. And as I'm listening, I hear like some kind of line from someone on the video, and suddenly I'm like, oh my God, wait, pause. I gotta go write down this thought real quick. I gotta put up a post on Instagram real quick. I gotta go ahead, knock this podcast episode out real quick. But it's just like Daniel said, sometimes it's the belief that leads the action, and sometimes it's the action that leads the belief. The few times that I've used belief first have been things that I've always done beforehand, like things that I know that I can do, and it just takes me a little bit of practice. Like the time that I decided to get my ass into gear and actually film a dance piece that I had not performed in over 20 years. It took me maybe 10, 15 minutes to kind of get the steps straight, and then another 30 minutes to really practice it so I can get the timing right, and I was good to go. I believed I could do it because I've done it before, and I knew that that one idea was enough to get me started. Granted, my mood was also aligned with the belief, but you know what I'm saying. Another example was the second time I went to auditions. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never done an actual audition in person before. I've always done quick auditions on video and sent them into production houses. The first time I went in person, I wasn't so nervous because I knew I could do it. I'd already done it before. I'd already done I think I'd done 12 episodes in Arivan before I went to Yard Shoot to see if I could possibly land a role there. I wasn't nervous. I did the action. I said yes before I was ready because I knew in the back of my mind that I had the capability to do this. Now, whether I was right for this project or not, that was a little bit nerve-wracking, but I did it anyway. I have this habit of saying yes and then kind of figuring it out on the way. I've had so many people that ask, hey, I need help with this and I need help with that, or I need someone who knows how to connect me to, a specific artisan or a specific mechanic or a trainer or maybe even, an apparel store, something like that. And I feel good about the fact that I know enough people where I could connect them. But even then, it just means that I had to say yes first and then figure out how I could get the information to the person that needed it. Maybe it's a 6 degrees of separation thing, but I know people and I know the worst that can happen is they say no and then I move on to the next thing. It's a matter of having conquered my fear, knowing that people can either say yes or no to any question you have, any request that you may have of them. And eventually, even if it is a no, there are so many other resources that you could try afterwards. It's been quite the journey, discovering this for myself, realizing that this is another dimension of growing up, this there's an excitement that comes with it actually, because I don't feel afraid to do much of anything anymore. Maybe it comes with age. I remember being in speech class in high school and I was terrified. I mean, like knock-kneed terrified to get up and do a monologue. I was terrified to get up on stage and do much of anything. I was scared to perform for a long time when I was in dance camp, but usually it's a group performance, so I could like hide in the back and not really try really hard, and I would still be okay. I depended on being able to blend in situations where I was afraid. But now I find that there's not much that scares me, and maybe it's because I've tried so many things. I've experienced so many things, and there's not much that I can say no to, except when it comes to the fear of heights, possibly, that I won't be able to find a way to make it work. Maybe not conquer it, but make it work. And so that belief also drives me to a certain degree. So I would love to hear your comments and your experiences. What do you tend to do when it's something you've never done before, or maybe something you haven't done in a long time? Do you let your belief kind of lead you, or do you kind of just like step into the action and kind of build it on the way down? That would be really fascinating to hear from you guys. And if you have any questions or comments, obviously, from any of the examples I've given you, please drop them in the comments below. And in the meantime, I hope you find an excuse to do something you haven't done in a long time just for the fun of it soon, because I know it's a great feeling to kind of just step out of the norm and stop doing the same old all the time. We kind of need that adrenaline rush every so often. Yeah? I love you guys, and I'll catch you again soon. Bye.